Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Deputy of Planning and Development of the General Sport Authority and President, Mass Participation Federation, Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee, Her Royal Highness, Princess Rima bint Bandar Al Saud, in conversation with Lama Al Fawzan from the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Lama Al Fawzan. I'm a Key Advisory Manager in SAGIA, and I'm also a fencer in the Saudi National Fencing Team. And today we'll be talking about the role of sports and how it will propel the kingdom to new social and economical heights. It's an absolute pleasure to have Her Royal Highness, the Princess Rima bint Bandar Al Saud, the Deputy of Planning and Development in the General Sports Authority and the President of Mass Participation. So I'm very happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Princess Rima, you have been a very strong advocate for females to play sports in the kingdom. And we are shifting from being a commodity-based economy into being a knowledge-based oriented economy. And this is reflecting positively on our society. So it's in the core vision 2030 to increase the number of people to play sports from 13% to 40%.
Yes.
So tell us more about the role that you have in the General Sports Authority and how that will impact the future of investment in line to the 2030 vision.
Absolutely. So my role at the Sports Authority is twofold. I am the Deputy for Planning and Development, and what that entails is a strong focus on the sports economy, the diversity and inclusion mandate, and also the behavioral shift mandate. Equal to that, I'm the President of the Mass Participation Federation, and what that involves is how do we get the community to move and be physically active, and that's where the percentage of 13 to 40% is really a critical piece. In 2015, we did a study across the country, and only 13% of this nation was moving. We had a 2020 target of 20%, and we had a 2030 target of 40%. And I'm very proud to say that specifically now, with only 2 years within the strategy and piloting phase, we were able to tip the needle from the 13% to 22%, and we're very, very optimistic about being able to reach the 40%. And while 40% might sound negligible to you, but it actually equals 16 million people. So today, my team and I, of about 40 people, are responsible for 16 million people to be moving and physically active. This brings us back to the actual sports economy dialogue, which is important for this session today. The opportunities for investment in sports are not only and exclusively in athletes. Lama here can attest to that. She's one of our championship fencers. In order for Lama to be able to be a fencer, she needed a location, she needed a trainer, she needed resources and tools, which when she was training to be a fencer were not available here. We're talking about 3 mega cities that are being built, from Qiddiya to Neom and the Red Sea, that all have sports infrastructure, and that's the hardware that we need, yes, but we need also the software, and that's the human capital. So the opportunities for investment in the Saudi sports economy will range from the human capital value chain, yes, mega infrastructure, but tools and resources. Innovation is necessary here. If we would like to fill these cities, these mega cities, which all have a sports primary mandate in them, somebody needs to work there, which means they need to be trained, and they need facilities to train in. And the opportunity for innovation in sports training is open to you here. The innovation in the value chain of material R&D is available here. In the technological landscape of sports, it's available here. Consider us a prime place to pilot and a prime place to do your R&D, from light manufacturing all the way up to the hard infrastructure of a physical stadium and everything that must go in there.
Amazing. So we're still taking our baby steps when it comes to females who play sports in the kingdom. So what is the connection between sports and economic growth, and what are the key policies that you would like to implement in the future?
So when we look at a policy point of view, that's where my role at the Planning and Development comes on board. We've been working with the SME Authority, with the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education On one end, yes, we'd like to bring the businesses into the country that will help us to thrive and grow, because this is a green field. Whatever you could imagine we need, we need. Whatever you could imagine needs to be done, needs to be done. What we have managed to do in the past 2 years was really lay out the foundation work for what exactly are we looking for. And those are documents that are going to be shared, hopefully, with this audience quite soon, if you're interested, through SAGIA. We're developing an investors pack, and we look at the mindset of diversity and inclusion and how many people can we get involved within the sports economy, not just women, but men also, and young people. And I'd really, really implore everyone in this audience, when you're talking about investment in physical activity, to also consider the aging community. There is a viable commercial opportunity and business opportunity in looking at that segment of our population. But the policies that need to change, what I'm very excited about, are the policies that are changing. So we look at it from the point of view of a stakeholder and say, in order for sports to be practiced freely and openly in the city, we must work and collaborate with the municipality on green spaces, on walking tracks, and. Every single one of those ands is a business opportunity for somebody here to invest, not necessarily with the Sports Authority, but with the municipality, with the various different ministries. And what you can use us for is the sounding board of, is this even something that this community needs? We've done the mapping and the research and segmented 5 different groups of people that are going to be entering into the sports economy, whether they are the users of the facilities, whether they are the employees in the facilities, whether they are the elite athletes, the investors, and the role there is for the international private sector and also the local private sector.
What are the specific plans that you are very excited about come to life in the upcoming future?
One of the projects that's near and dear to my heart is the concept of the geography of sports. We're going to be piloting with Asir. Asir is really emblematic of the 5 regions of this country, which can go all the way from the water landscape, the mountainous plateaus, and also the desert. What we're going to be doing there is mapping out what kind of sports could actually happen there, what infrastructure must be built there in order to accommodate those sports, and those sports will split from elite sports to the mass participation and the hobby sports. And then we're going to be looking at, from an international point of view, working with the various embassies whose countries we've signed agreements with, New Zealand, Japan, and to say, in your country, what businesses exist, what training institutes exist, who could come here and either co-invest, invest, or educate our community. The pilot with Asir is also going to involve chambers of commerce, ministries of education, and to be honest, the deputy governor there has been the one that's leading this, and we are a very humble part of that project. But the pilot on the sports economy is something we'd like to then take across region. It impacts the economy from an F&B point of view, from a hospitality and tourism point of view. There's so many growth opportunities globally. The sports economy is a very strong support to a GDP. Here in Saudi, we are today, unfortunately, only representative of 0.1% of the GDP, and we believe that if our plans go through, we will be able to positively impact this economy to the level of 0.8% by 2030. And that's only going to be a reality if the local private sector and the international private sector truly have faith and believe in the programs and projects that we are putting forward. And what I would tell you is, today I'm not just a government official that sits in an office and talks about these theoretical numbers. I sit and work with, and our federation is on the ground seeing the change. I can talk to you and tell you about an event that we hosted that we thought 3,000 people would come to, but 150,000 people came to. And that tells me that our expectations, frankly, we've been lowballing, but the appetite is there, the consumer is there, both from a commercial point of view of wanting to buy the product of sport, but also the participant consumer who would like to engage in the activity of sport. I would also like to just also highlight to you that the employment tracks within this are going to be one of the greatest hindrances to the growth of this economy. And so when you're thinking about your investment, again, I would really, truly iterate on the investment in the human capital and allowing people to learn, grow, and develop. We have beautiful examples of that across this country from the local sector, and we'd really like to see from the international sector, what expertise do you have that could bring here? And I'd really encourage you to to bring that mindset to us, foster, help, develop, grow the individual that will be working in this sector, because the sector is growing.
Thank you so much. It's really exciting times now. How do you think that foreign investment can really drive the future of sports in the kingdom?
So how can foreign investment drive the sports sector here? I think we don't necessarily need foreign investment to drive it, but what we need is the tools and resources, whether they're local or foreign, to be invested here. We also need to look at the spread of the age groups. And again, the aging community is a community that, from a business point of view, is always neglected. And we talk about diversity and inclusion as a mandate in our dialogue. I would highly encourage investment in that sector. But also when we talk about future investments in technology, we have a growing esports federation that would like to compete with South Korea. In South Korea, the gaming industry is probably around a 4 billion addition to the GDP in Korea, and that's with only an employment of about 100,000 people in that sector. Imagine if we were able to do that here in Saudi. And what does that look like? That looks like a gaming college or a university. That looks like gaming training programs, investments in infrastructure and buildings that allow for these young people to not only participate in the game, but also educate others to be physically active. One of the hallmarks of what the Esports Federation is doing here in Saudi is also educating the local community to understand, yes, that esports is a sport. I know a lot of us question it, but the Olympics is going to acknowledge it, inshallah, hopefully as a sport, and we're trying to push for that. But that these young people, in order to be able to engage in this sport, which has a cap of age roughly 28 to 29, they have to be physically strong for high levels of hand-eye coordination, endurance, and stamina. These are young kids who have spent their whole lives encapsulated facing a TV screen. So our role is to help the Esports Federation to get these children physically active and strong and out and about and socializing in order to up their gaming level. So imagine if there was an opportunity to collaborate with mental health science groups, to collaborate with educational groups and other actual physical activity groups, collaborate on a new definition of what does the gaming community look like and what does esports look like. That's what the Esports Federation is moving forward to here. It also is an opportunity to invest in gaming, in federations and games and tournaments in that field, which is actually new to us today. But with the percentage of youth in our community compared to where the rest of the world sits, and using South Korea as a role model and a collaborator, and also Japan, we truly believe that this is a sector that we can develop and grow and is ripe for investment. It's ripe for investment because the young men and the women of this country have already proven to us they're interested, and we would say, for you, come and talk to us. And if you need more details on that, the president of the Esports Federation is actually right here. And if he waves his hand, everyone in technology, that's your man. The opportunity is here, and I would really encourage you to think outside of the box of just the traditional fields of broadcasting and sports and infrastructure plays to the whole industry around it. It doesn't exist in a mature sense here today, but we would like it to be. And for us to develop and grow and be a global leader or play on an equal playing field, that's where I would say the international investor could come in with the expertise to help develop the local community.
Thank you so much. It's been a very interesting session, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you. And if I could leave you with one parting message, it's a young population. You're here to invest. I would just ask everybody in this room to always consider 4 simple letters, which if you've heard me speak before, I say them all the time. SROI, it is the social return on the investment. What you are investing in when you invest in sports is the social and human capital, and that is the pathway to having a healthy global community. So I would just encourage you to always keep focusing on the social impact of the investments that you're making, because that is where this nation is going. And as sports, we'd like to be the leaders in that dialogue.
Thank you so much.
Not at all.